Howdy Ags, welcome to Aggie Growth Hacks, the podcast sponsored by the McFerrin Center for Entrepreneurship at Texas A&M, where we help Ags improve their business, connect with other Aggie entrepreneurs, and support one another. I'm your host, Greg Martin, Fighting Texas Aggie class of 2001.
And I'm your co-host, Chris Hunter, Fighting Texas Aggie class of 1998. Whoop!
We got a little story for you, Ags. Chris Valletta, Fighting Texas Aggie class of 2000, shoot it, is the co-founder and the president of Mission. Chris is an accomplished football star at all levels, a participant of the hit show The Apprentice, and an entrepreneur whose business literally exploded in 2020. Chris is also the author of Teamworks, where he relates the challenges and the successes that entrepreneurs face with the challenges and the successes that professional athletes face.
So pass it on back and listen up to Chris as he shares some good bull.
Welcome back, Ags. We have got an amazing episode to kick off season 4 of Aggie Growth Hacks. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you so much for being part of the Aggie Growth Hacks family for the past 3 seasons. Chris, Hunter, and I are so excited about what we've got in store. And we are kicking this season off with an Aggie that both Chris and I have admired from afar for a long time. A lot of you Ags probably know Chris Valletta and know his story. And so, Chris, thank you so much for being here today and sharing your wisdom with us. And we're so excited to have you on Aggie Growth Hacks.
Oh, man, it's great to be here. I'm excited about this one. We've been talking for a while, so let's get after it.
Well, let's jump right into it. And Chris, what do you miss most about not being a student at College Station at A&M?
About not being a student?
Yeah.
Oh, man. There's a million places I could start there, but I played offensive line for A&M. So when I think about my student life, it revolves around food of some capacity. So
as an offensive lineman, I'm sure you had to eat
those
just a little bit.
Those 12,000 calories per day is what I miss the most, because I got to just eat my face off as much as I wanted. But, the cheese fries at the Dixie Chicken, the Super Monster at Freebirds, like those are some things I seriously miss as a student. Those things aside, I think they're, the beauty of Texas A&M and the beauty of, I think, what you learn as a student there is embodied by what we always talk about at A&M. There's a spirit that can never be told. And that spirit to me is captured in the instinctual, non-technical skills you learn as a student. What I mean by that is, if you're a marketing major, you're going to come out of A&M and you're going to know a bunch of knowledge about marketing and you're going to have good experience. And that's great. If you're a business major, you're going to learn finance, you're going to learn operations, you're going to learn these types of things. And you're going to get a lot of book knowledge, and you're going to get an amazing education around, whatever it is that you study. That's a given. But I think what A&M does is they peel back the layer to the human being, and they actually get into your mindset a little bit deeper than a traditional place. And you come out of that with this spirit that we talk about. And that spirit to me is the intangibles that make you a quality, successful human being, empathy and communication and understanding interpersonal dynamics with people you may not have common ground with at the start, but you can at the finish, because you learn what it's like to be together. And I think that spirit at A&M, I could say I miss it, but at the same time, I can really reflect upon it because it's been part of the foundation upon which I built my personal life and my professional career.
Yeah.
And I think that's what's most important. And I would probably say it's most important, with a close second being those cheese fries at Dixie Chicken.
They
still
are
have
pretty
the
good.
cheese fries. I haven't been.
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, the nastiest, but best. There's that.
Love it. The cheese fries are always there at the Dixie Chicken, and they're the Tijuana fries, right?
Yes.
That you can go and get. Yeah. Anyone that comes into town that's new to Aggie Land, that's exactly where I take them. Dixie Chicken for a burger, a beer, and Tijuana fries.
Because unless you're there, you don't believe that place really exists. I mean,
No,
it
the
is
lore of it.
Yeah.
It's hard. What's the saying? From the outside, you can't explain it. From the inside, or from the inside, you can't explain it. From the outside, you can't understand it. I guess that's true.
Yeah.
Physically being in the Dixie Chicken as well.
Love that. Love it. So everyone knows about Mission, right? I mean, you're like, you've got like the best brand in Aggie land, not just Aggie land, but just this worldwide. So everyone kind of knows what Mission is, but why don't you tell us what Mission is? And why don't you tell us, how did you get into that? How did that even start?
I love the fact you say everyone knows Mission. That is the coolest thing I've heard in a long time, because when you're an entrepreneur starting a business, with this concept on a napkin that everybody talks about, you have these visions and dreams of someday being known by the masses, by creating a value that people want and people can relate to. The fact that here we are 14, 15 years later after we started the company, and the fact that people know our brand and use our brand and relate to it is just unbelievable. Like, it's a blessing beyond anything I could ever hope to deserve. And so I appreciate you saying that, Chris.
Absolutely. But it's true. It's true.
Yeah. I think a lot of people know Mission, not in the context of saying like, a lot of people know Apple, and a lot. Obviously that's the vision, right.
Yeah.
Mission is quite simply a performance apparel and accessories company that focuses uniquely on temperature innovations to deliver a cool, comfortable experience to active consumers. And so there's, you guys, I'm sure, have played sports in your life, or you've been out in the yard to cut the grass or what have you. Anyone who's anyone has experienced what it's like to be hot and uncomfortable. We're all in Texas. It gets pretty hot. Certainly in my playing experience, it got very hot. And heat has a distinct physical impact on your ability to perform. And so that could be your ability to perform in terms of just enjoying your activity. If you've ever been to Disney World with your kids in July and it's 110 degrees and you're standing in line for the roller coaster, and you know how much money you paid for the Disney tickets, but your kids are sitting there and they're screaming and complaining because they're too hot and all they want to do is go in the air conditioning. Like, that's a real moment, right? Yep. And so Mission has a portfolio of products that are designed to intersect at that moment to make that experience cool and comfortable and easy. So whether you're 5 years old playing soccer, or you're a family at Disney, or whether you're a 95-year-old, speed walking in Florida in the hot, humid weather, we have a portfolio of technologies that's designed to keep you cool and comfortable so you can do more and enjoy more. And that's been that was the genesis of our brand. And we knew that if we were going to get into that category, if we were going to say, hey, listen, temperature, you got to start paying attention to it, because if you want to be cooler when you're out mowing the lawn, we have a product for you. And that was a great positioning statement. But we knew if we were going to deliver a technology to consumers in today's market, you've got to be relevant, you've got to be authentic, you've got to be real. You can't do any like Me Too, hocus pocus garbage. You've got to make stuff that really works. And so from the beginning, we said, let's find people who are the most active and in the heat. Like, who beats their bodies up more than anybody? I mean, you could talk about military, you could talk about, people that work in a steel mill or something, but we zeroed in on the athlete community because we knew that professional athletes, their jobs are to push their bodies to the max in conditions that aren't favorable to do it. And so what we did is we went out to some of the top named athletes in the world, Serena Williams, Drew Brees, Dwayne Wade, and others. And when we started the business, we said, we're going to carve up some equity in the business. We're going to give it to these athletes. And of course, in exchange for that equity, we're going to be able to say, we're going to be able to use Serena Williams' image and likeness and name. Yep. And that's great. Yep. Same with Drew and Dwayne and others. So we could market with them and put them on signs and social media and things like that. But more importantly was having them validate our products. So as an example, we know, because science proves it, that if Serena Williams is playing at the Australian Open and it's 120 degrees and she is in the final set, the science proves that if she has implemented cooling strategies during that match, that in that final set, she will be a step ahead and have more gas in the tank than her opponent. It's simple, because as your body temperature rises, your ability to max out your performance declines. And so as you increase, or as you go throughout your tennis match or a marathon or a whole day, out in the yard doing yard work, your performance is going to decline, not to mention cognitively you decline, you get cranky, you get hot, you get sweaty, all of those things. So if we could keep Serena Williams a little bit cooler, then she's going to be an inch faster than her opponent. She'll be a slight step ahead. And we all know in the world of sports that any sport is a game of inches, right? Mm-hmm. People might miss a catch by a fraction of an inch. They might miss the end zone by a fraction of an inch. So we live in that space. So before we ever launch a product and it ever goes on shelf, we bring it to the athlete community and we say, listen, test it, beat it up, give us feedback. And they return it to us, and we kind of go through this back and forth process until we nail it. And then when we nail it, then we wrap it up in beautiful packaging, and then we send it out and put it on shelf at, all the retailers we work with across the country. And that's been a very distinct and important difference, is our attention to detail in product development and how that's impacted us over the years. And today, fast forward, I think we got to be close to 100 million units sold of product over the years. Wow. We've got, there's not a single item in our entire portfolio that has less than 4-star reviews on Amazon. It's a great place to look at product. And listen, we haven't gotten them all right over the years, but having hundreds and hundreds of different, SKUs, and every single one of them is a 4-star or better, speaks volumes to our product development team's effort and the way in which we've approached it. Because ultimately, you could have the coolest brand in the world. If you don't deliver to the consumer, like, what's it for? Yeah. Right?
They'll buy it once and then leave you a terrible review and then move on. Yep.
You're here today, you're gone tomorrow, and you're a flash in the pan. And so with us, we know that temperature control is the next frontier of performance. It's the next frontier of athletic performance. It's the next frontier of performance and safety in job environments. All of us know people that work in, oil and gas refineries or steel mills, or they might be outside working in hot environments. I mean, we drive by, on the highways in Texas, you've seen it, middle of July, 105 degrees outside. Yep. And you got these guys in jeans and long sleeve shirts putting asphalt on highways. That's your ability to not only perform in that job, but stay safe in that job is critical. And that's really where we live. And so there's supplements, there's all different types of things to impact performance. We use temperature to do that. That's the Mission brand.
Nice.
Well, Chris, as you've kind of gone through and this company's had, some pretty tremendous growth over the last couple of years, especially with a product company, a lot of the entrepreneurs that we have, they're struggling to get it right. And then they get it right. And then they experience, a tipping point, or they have some exponential growth. Is there any specific tipping point that you can remember that you look back and like, that was fundamentally a game changer for Mission?
100%. Yeah. I can point to inflection points throughout the since we started this brand in 2008. I can point to things that made a difference along the way. But in terms of a tipping point for the brand, without question, it was COVID. And it's kind of weird to say that.
Really?
Right? The short version is, Mission's had again, we've had a portfolio product since, 2008 when we launched the brand. And one of our, and pretty much all of our products are textile based. So we've got, cooling hats. I'm wearing one of our cooling hats now. This product, it's designed to just be a regular hat. But as you sweat into it, or if it gets wet, the technology in the hat literally produces a cooling effect to keep your whole head cool. And so we've got, this style, we've got hundreds of different styles of hats. And we've got cooling towels that you can put around your neck to keep you cool. We've got cooling neck gaiters that you can wear, in 12 different ways, cooling underwear, socks, you name it. And I mentioned that neck gaiter that we have, the cooling neck gaiter, which is just a kind of a tubular design fabric that you can, a lot of fishermen wear them. You wear them when you hunt. Yep. You can pull it up over your face. You can wear it as a balaclava. You can put it up as a headband. There's a million things you can do with it. And ours when you introduce water to the fabric, and we don't use any chemicals to produce our cooling, but when you introduce water to this particular fabric, the temperature drops to 30 degrees below your average body temperature, and it stays there for 2 hours, and you can constantly reactivate it and reuse it forever. So when you got something around your neck that's 65 degrees, roughly 68 degrees, and it's 95 outside, like that's a win. Well, one of the ways you can wear that product is over your face. So fast forward, we've had that product in market since probably 2011 is when we introduced it. But fast forward to 2020, and the world was told to cover your face with a mask of some kind. Yeah. Our business exploded overnight. I mean, that product category went from, it literally exploded in every way, shape, and form. We had every retail partner calling us and placing millions of unit purchase orders. And the challenge we were faced with in that instance was not just the scale that comes with going from, where you are in your existing team to, 10x in your business literally overnight. Wow. That comes with it a whole host of implications on your, end to end supply chain being first and foremost. Can I produce this stuff? Where am I going to get the fabric? Where am I going to find the materials? Can I produce it? And if I find the materials, can I get enough factories online to do it? And once I get the factories online, can I find enough boats or planes to get it over to the United States, wherever I'm producing it in? And once it's here, how in the heck do I get this out to the stores? Oh, and by the way, there's a global pandemic on top of all of this.
That's right.
Which has shut down basically every country. Everything. It is closed shipping lines. It had, you name it. You're given the ultimate request to blow up your business, and you've got every single hurdle in front of you.
The ultimate hurdles against it.
Right. And so I could bore you to tears with how we overcame each of those hurdles. But we did. We overcame every single one of them. In fact, I think when it was taking others 3-4 months to get, to deliver product, I think the very first purchase order we got when the real stuff hit, the big order we got, I think it was a little over 1 million units from the Home Depot. Wow. And I want to say from the time the order was requested to the time we had product on the floor was under 45 days. So in addition to expediting and getting inventory out, we can't forget, and we remind our team of this all the time, we can't forget the importance of the competitive advantage we secured in doing that. Yeah. Obviously everybody has competitors, as we're no exception. But when you can get that far ahead of competitors, that's a difference maker. So you've got COVID, the implications of what that means, plus the fact that Mission happens to spend a lot of, we spend a lot of money in national advertising, TV, digital, radio, print. And so you've got sort of this 1 + 1 = 10 type scenario happening. It led to some exciting things. So it's odd to say that COVID was a tipping point, but it absolutely was. It completely changed our business because millions of new customers came into the pipe, right? Yeah. And millions of new customers were pouring into this funnel and going into the brand. It's like anything, guys, right? We're all consumers. Mm-hmm. If you buy a t-shirt from a brand that you may not have heard of so much before, but man, you put that t-shirt on and you're like, holy cow, this thing looks amazing. It fits great. It feels great. It washes great. What are you going to do? You're going to go
get another one.
You're probably going to buy another one. Yeah. And you might look at their pants and their socks. You might look at the other stuff that they have. Yeah. That's exactly what occurred with Mission. And we had an influx of millions of consumers. And all of a sudden we noticed, okay, that gator was a 4.5 star rated item before COVID. It's still a 4.5 star rated item. And now we're seeing huge sales growth in our hats and huge sales growth in our towels and huge sales growth in our socks and all these other products that we have. And it just kept, climbing. And it was sort of a blur the last, 2 years, kind of still is a blur because of everything that's happened with COVID. But in addition to being able to manage that scale and grow to the scale and take advantage of what that scale, we were also able to give back along the way and help, and do things that were going to serve people in a time of complete and total uncertainty.
Yeah.
When it felt like the world was falling apart. And so we fed a million people through food banks. It was amazing.
The team that you had to pull together in order to manage that scale and to drive that competitive advantage from the gator to the hats to the shirts to the socks. I mean, it's the fundamentals of that team that in building the right people and having the same vision that probably is where as a co-founder, that's where you probably spend a lot of your time.
Oh my gosh. 1,000%. Yes. The McFerrin Center is a very important element to Texas A&M University, and its namesake, Artie McFerrin, who wrote the book, The Executioner, which I don't know if you guys have read it, but awesome book.
Yeah.
And right out of the gates, his entire first chapter is about your mindset, where he says, we are the CEO of ourselves. And so before we ever look at your talent or your physical ability, right? It's like, if you graduated from A&M with a marketing degree, I'm pretty confident you're going to be able to tell me, what was on page 500 of your marketing, 201 handbook. Like, I get it. Like, you can read the X's and O's, but what's between your ears? What's the mindset of this individual? And Mission is stacked with people that I refer to as rope holders. That's the term I use internally with my team. That if you were hanging off the side of a cliff by a rope, right, and death was beneath you, and you could only have one person holding the other end of that rope, what type of person do you want on the other end? Now, obviously, physical strength is a prerequisite, right? You want them to physically be able to pull you up.
Right.
Just like talent is a prerequisite. You got to be able to know what you're doing. But way more than physical strength or talent is the mental fortitude. Do you want someone that is unreliable, might not show up on time to everything, hasn't always come through the way you wanted them to? Or do you want someone that is supremely dedicated, completely disciplined, has the desire to always better their best no matter what, who understands the importance of teamwork and communication and how to get up when you fail? All of those interpersonal or soft skills are critical and the essential qualities of rope holders. And we've been able, fortunately, to stack a team of rope holders at Mission. Without question, we would not have gotten, and we would not be where we are today without the people in this business. There's just no doubt in my mind.
So, the first time that I came across Mission was I was looking for something to cool down, as out in the Texas heat. My wife and I, my wife runs a lot, right? She always starts her training at about this time of the year, for the BCS marathon, right?
Okay.
And which is in December. So the training always starts this time of year. So I was looking for something to cool her down. I ran across Mission and got her that. I got her the Gator. This was like 5-6 years ago, right? And she loved it, absolutely loved it. So, we fed right into exactly what you just said there, that, we ended up getting all sorts of stuff from Mission. And honestly, that was before I knew it was Aggie owned and operated, right? I mean, this was a great product.
Super bonus.
Right. And when I learned, you and I ran across each other on LinkedIn, and I'm like, wait, he owns Mission? What? So anyway,
and now you got a hookup, Chris. See,
I know. That's awesome. That's awesome.
Greg, jury's out for you. Well,
there you go. I'm obviously way behind the power curve.
So tell us a little bit about your big, hairy, audacious goal. What's your BHAG for Mission?
Yeah, that's great. That's a great question. We set out with a BHAG of establishing a new category of retail. That was our original plan. It was, hey, cooling as a category.
Yeah.
It doesn't exist, right?
Yeah.
Like it's not there's things out there in the market that kind of speak to it, but there's not a brand that owns that space. And it's not a category today. I would liken it to the way sunscreen was not really a category,
right,
for a long time. There were sunscreen products out in market, but I don't remember exactly when it was, but you guys probably do. Well, maybe early mid 90s, when like the news started to come out and say, you probably shouldn't go sit in a tanning bed for an hour and a half because it's sort of bad for you.
Rub on coconut oil.
Right. Exactly. Like you might want to start using, some stuff to protect your skin against the UV rays. And, it started to get some more momentum. And around the same time, if you were to ever turn on the weather forecast, you would hear, hey, in Bryan College Station today, it's going to be, 92 degrees.
Yep.
Fast forward to today. What does sunscreen look like when you walk into a Kroger or a retail shop in the summer months? It's a dedicated space in the store, right? And when you go online or you open your weather app or you're watching the news and you're told about the weather in Bryan College Station, they don't just give you the temperature anymore. You're told it's going to be 92 degrees. The humidity is going to be, 65%. The heat index will be 108. The pollen count is this, the XYZ is that. I mean, you are bombarded with information about the importance of heat safety and making sure that you stay cool in the same way sunscreen was. So I sort of liken cooling to that in some regards, although the cooling has the potential to be much, much bigger given the use cases. And so we set out with that vision first, was our BHAG, was get in and establish and own the category. And we were successful at doing that. And we were opening, major retail partners, obviously establishing our own e-commerce engine, our own direct to consumer infrastructure, but, Walmart, Target, Home Depot, Lowe's, like you pick the Dick's Sporting Goods, Academy Sports, you kind of pick one of these partners, and we were able to make some inroads. And now we are clearly an established destination in all of those environments. And so, that while I'd say that BHAG has been, that box was checked, I don't think it's completely checked. I think it's partially checked because we're never going to stop owning and developing and building that category. Obviously, to lead the categories was also a big one. We want to make sure that, I give the example of Secretariat at the Belmont. I don't think he was even slated to win the race, let alone win it by over 30 lengths, right? And that's the approach we take. It's not just about winning. We want to dominate. It's not just about, as an offensive lineman, our coach used to just say, it's not just about putting your opponent into the dirt. It's about putting him, 8 inches beneath the dirt. It's about like making sure your will is imposed. And that's our approach. And so when I start thinking about the next 5 or 10 years in a BHAG for mission, we have full permission to think of ourselves as a multi-billion-dollar brand platform that has the ability to go in numerous extensions. And we're well on our way, absolutely well on our way. We've got we have the resources, we've got the global, supply chain infrastructure. We've got it all there. And now it's just a matter of, pen to paper, head down, and focusing on, the mindset of Secretariat, getting out in front of everyone else and putting opponents, 6 to 8 inches beneath the dirt. That's kind of our approach. And so, yeah, I think we have all the tools to be a billion-dollar brand in the next 3 to 5 years.
Chris, you talk a lot, just even in the words that you use to describe your past, your passion, your people that are around you. There's obviously a very strong correlation between entrepreneurship and sports in your mind. I mean, the fact that you said you targeted athletes as the first people that you're going on. So knowing that you've had success in the sports arena at every level, you've had success in entrepreneurship in every level. What is maybe one or two things that you see such a strong correlation between them? And I'm, you talk about it in your book, but really it just comes through with everything you say.
Well, it does. I believe firmly that athletes, by virtue of the skills they instinctively possess, represent one of the most qualified yet untapped sources of leadership talent in the workforce today. Full stop. I mean, I can tell you right now, R.C. Slocum has had just as much an impact on my professional business career as he did on my personal life. He told me when I was 17 years old, sitting in my living room, getting recruited by everybody. Actually, he didn't tell me, he told my parents. he said, if Chris decides to come to Texas A&M, and if he decides to make, become an Aggie, and if he listens to what I tell him to do, he will graduate with a great degree. He will play highly competitive Division I college football. He'll have a chance to play in the NFL. And I promise you, he'll come out of A&M a better person than when he came in. And that was impactful. No other coach really put it that way. And we took him up on it. And every single thing he said was absolutely spot on.
Yeah.
Because athletes understand, like entrepreneurs, right? It's not all glory. A lot of people they see game day, they don't see practice.
Yep.
And
yeah,
entrepreneurs, a lot of people see the end result. You go to mission.com or you go to apple.com and you see the end result and it looks pretty and it's great. No one sees the work that went behind it. So athletes have a distinct understanding of a work ethic. And I mentioned some of those qualities earlier in the rope holder analogy: dedication, discipline, the desire to be the best, handling adversity, performing under pressure, responding to a loss, playing hurt, playing injured, being coached, working within a multicultural team dynamic, the communication that has to occur in order to execute flawlessly as an athlete. All of those are central to athletic performance. And if I was giving a business lecture right now and I was using those same terms, everyone would say, yeah, all of those are essential to business execution too. They're one and the same. And so that's been my operating system since I was, since I was done playing. There was not a business playbook. No one came to me and said, here's the 5 steps to how to start a business. And here's the things.
They probably would have been wrong.
Right.
If they did.
Right. I had 2 distinct things. I had a mindset and I had amazing teammates. Mission's not me. I'm part of it, obviously. My business partner, Josh, who is a tremendous entrepreneur, he was critical in getting Mission off the ground. I mean, absolutely couldn't have done it without. I couldn't have done it without him. And our head of operations, her name is Lisa. Literally, we would not be where we are today without her. So amazing teammates, amazing coaches and mentors, and people that I was able to tap into to get coached. There are plenty of people involved with the McFerrin Center that I won't name, but they know who they are, who I call all the time for advice. These Aggies that have been there and done that, and they've navigated the worlds of, consumer products and private equity and stuff that I didn't have any experience with, have been so amazingly gracious in offering their coaching. And so I consider myself to be extremely coachable. And I think that's a quality that you have to demand as an entrepreneur. And so all of those things rolled up into one in aggregate are a big part of the reason why we've had some success.
It's interesting. So this leads us into our lightning round. Okay. Our lightning round is real simple, right? It's quick, right? Okay. And we're going to ask you a question. You have like 1 or 2 minutes to answer them. All right. So you ready for this, Chris?
Let's do it.
All right, cool. So what is your favorite hack? It can be business, it can be personal, whatever, anything goes here. What is your favorite hack?
Easy. Obviously my formative years, I grew up in Texas, went to A&M, but I spent 16 years in Manhattan. And so when you're in Manhattan, you live in an apartment. And so all those traditional honeydew projects, anything electrical or plumbing or yard work or all that stuff, I didn't have to do for 16 years. And so I got rusty when I came back to Texas. I'm telling you, bad. And so my hack is YouTube. I mean, my goodness.
Thank God for YouTube.
Oh, yep. Right. Anything and everything you can learn how to do on YouTube. You want to tear apart a 1969 Camaro, you can learn how to do it on YouTube if you've never done it before. And the same goes for landscaping and electrical and plumbing, and I know my limits, but that's been a pretty good hack.
Well, Chris, what is the favorite advice that you've ever been given, and how have you applied it?
I'm going to go back to Coach Slocum. There was a practice one day this is back, I guess I'm dating myself, right? This was back, do you guys remember we used to have a turf practice field my freshman year?
Yep.
Yeah, that thing. Get on that thing in August. That's a joy. Let me tell you, talk about the heat. There was a practice my freshman year, and Coach Slocum was talking to the team. And one of the things he said that I've always hung on to is, what you can put off to tomorrow, do today. And what you can do today, do it right now. And I think he was talking about the importance of not waiting or delaying what you know you need to do to set yourself ahead. Like, don't even give yourself if you know you've got to do something to better your best, do it right now. Don't put it off to tomorrow, because someone else in your shoes isn't waiting, and they're either going to be ahead of you, or, you're going to be ahead, or they're going to be ahead. And I'm not, I'm not always this second place is the first loser kind of guy, but like there's truth in not procrastinating on certain things. And I always hung on to that advice. And to this day, Coach Slocum and I stay in touch all the time. I always tell him how thankful I am for the impact he's had on me. And I think, he doesn't even, I think he realizes it, but I don't know if he realizes just how far and wide that impact goes, because I know I'm not the only one that shares that sentiment.
Yeah, that's awesome. So next question, what's your superpower?
Probably talking. Rusty Burson and I are good buddies. And, back in my A&M days, I was when we were allowed to have jobs in the off season as athletes, I hosted a radio show. I always kind of had the gift of gab. I never shut up. And so I think it served me well because I've been able to translate that into a pretty successful business career. And, but from the business side, you have strengths in business and weaknesses. One of my strengths is sales, business development, relationship management, those, obviously leading people, but, being able to talk and try to be engaging and, understand interpersonal communication dynamics and all the stuff that goes into it. I was a speech communication and rhetoric major at A&M, and I minored in political science. I thought for sure, I was going to become a politician. I was like, yeah, I just, I'll, run for office. And then I got into sales. I don't know how that happened, but I guess it's the same thing almost.
Life.
But that was, I think the gift of gab is probably one of them.
Chris, what gets you out of bed, excited to take on the day and excited to do amazing things?
Just like anything, I am very blessed to have an amazing wife. Her name is Lily, and my wife is a highly accomplished entrepreneur and businesswoman with a very successful marketing and big data analytics company. And she's an absolute inspiration. And I learn a ton from her. And she's she, along with my two boys, JD and Christian, I've got, JD is 8 and Christian is 6. They are in large part the reason, right? Like anything.
I'm hungry. Get out of bed.
Right. Yeah, right. Exactly. And I've become excellent at making pancakes as a result. But so like anything, I'm completely inspired and motivated by my family. But beyond that, it's this idea that I can't ever be comfortable settling. I always want a level of uncomfortableness in my life, and it's that sort of uncertainty of being uncomfortable and to what level and to what degree you're uncomfortable that I think is why entrepreneurs, take that crazy title. They sort of like the idea that they don't really know where their next meal is going to come from. And so you got to go out and eat what you kill. And that's awesome. It's terrifying. And I think had I known then, what I know now about, really, being part of launching a new business and everything that goes in it, oh my gosh, I don't know if I'd make the same decision, but ignorance is bliss. Thank God. Thank God I had amazing people around me, teammates, mentors, colleagues that filled a ton of those gaps. But yeah, it's I want to better my best every day, every minute. I don't ever want to settle, and I want to encourage and inspire others to do the same. And I think when you do that, you can make magic happen.
So how can the Aggie Network get in touch with you and support you moving forward?
Honestly, I first of all, to get in touch with me, my email is best. I don't know if you guys want to, I can give my email, chrisvalletta@gmail.com is my email, and you can post it. That's a great way to connect with me and to connect with everybody. The Aggie Network and Texas A&M University has given me so much. I can't even begin to tell you or the people that are listening to this podcast how impactful the A&M system and the people that are part of it have inspired me and motivated me and cared for me. That is the spirit that can never be told. That spirit of Aggieland is the spirit that comes with the network and comes with the support. I mentioned earlier, to this day, I'm still calling, former students. I'm still talking to these mentors. So I don't necessarily want to say, what can the network do for me? Because it's already done for me. I mean, like, I use it. So I am so thankful. It's more like, what can I do for the network? Because what is it? Ask not what your network can do for you, but what you can do for your network, I guess, to Kennedy. I want to make sure that I return the favor. I think paying it forward is incredibly important. It doesn't mean that I'm not going to keep receiving, but I absolutely want to keep paying it forward. And so, if an A&M student or former student hits me on LinkedIn, like, I'm immediately in that one, because if there's anything I can do to support an Aggie, I'm going to do it. Yeah. That includes hiring or connecting or whatever it might be. And I'm actively involved with a lot of initiatives on A&M. I was heavily involved with Startup Aggieland at the McFerrin Center when that got off the ground, and Blake Petty and Don and all the people involved with the McFerrin Center now, and even Jen McFerrin and I are good friends, and she's been a huge mentor to me. I just want to pay it forward. I want to be as much of an inspiration or a coach or a mentor to some future A&M, student as those have been for me.
Love it.
Well, Chris, you've definitely delivered on that promise today. Thank you for, the candidness that you kind of talked through it and really going through and sharing some of your challenges and how y'all overcame them. Thanks for your willingness to join us on Aggie Growth Hacks. And thank you for being part of our community.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it. Dig 'em.
So how about that, Ags? What do you think about that? That was really some good bull that Chris shared with us. Great. Yeah. Oh, that was so awesome. There were some super valuable hacks that he shared with us. What was your favorite, Greg?
Well, I just love how, first off, Chris has experienced success in the sports world and the football field at all levels. And that was so fundamental to him as an entrepreneurship. But he talked about how entrepreneurs and sports teams are so similar. Whether that be having a very clear vision and defining what you want to achieve, where you want to go, to making sure that everyone on the team is coachable, to going and talking through and be like, everyone on the team has to put in the hard work every single day in order for everybody to be successful. I know that he talks about that in his book, but really to hear someone that has experienced that level of success, both on the sports world and the world of entrepreneurship, it was really cool to see and really cool to hear. How about you?
Well, I always agree with you, and I'm right there again with you. But I've got to say that I really loved how he likened teamwork being in the fact that you're climbing up a mountain and you're all on the same rope, right? Mm-hmm. Is that you're all tied together, right? One falls, the other falls. So I think that really sums up exactly how teams are put together and how they should be put together, and the mentality of what a team really truly is. So that's my biggest takeaway from Chris. I obviously had tons and tons because he's a really, really brilliant entrepreneur, but that was my one. If I have to sum it up, that was my one takeaway.
Yeah, I really like the aspect where we talked about if you want the person you want on the other end of the rope, if you're hanging off the cliff, is not necessarily the strongest, but is the one that mentally is so committed and will do anything they need to support and help you and pull you up and to get you to safety. So super, super great takeaway. And we appreciate Chris coming on and sharing that with us. Well, Ags, that's going to do it for another episode of Aggie Growth Hacks. We hope that you enjoyed this episode and that you hope that you connect with Chris on LinkedIn. We hope that you also will connect with Chris Hunter and I on LinkedIn, Instagram, or make sure that you, if you haven't joined it, you join the Aggie Growth Hacks Facebook group, and we'll continue our conversation there. We would love to connect. Chris and I would love to connect with you and maybe share your story on a future episode of Aggie Growth Hacks. Finally, make sure that you check out our website, aggiegrowthhacks.com, where you can listen to a previous episode or download one of our monthly hack shops where we tackle some of the biggest challenges entrepreneurs are facing and then give practical tips on how to overcome them.
Aggie Growth Hacks was produced by fellow Aggies Kyle Ackerman and Ben Wiggins from Podcast Architects. We also want to give a huge shout out to our sponsor, the McFerrin Center for Entrepreneurship at Texas A&M University. Since 1999, the McFerrin Center for Entrepreneurship has served as the hub of entrepreneurship for Texas A&M. If you're an Aggie entrepreneur or even a wantrepreneur, head on over to their website and find the program that's right for you. Just search up the McFerrin Center for Entrepreneurship in Google and head over there right now. Be sure to join us next time when we connect with another great Aggie entrepreneur and learn how they hack their growth. Until then, I'm Chris Hunter.
And I'm Greg Martin. Thanks and gig 'em.